Good evening, everyone. I am completely late tonight, and the reason for that is because I waited until the Shy came on, and I watched the BET Awards. So let's get into it. But today's a Super Reds Day, and so I am putting my Super Reds in my brand new Starbucks container. Isn't it gorgeous? Like, I was so tempted, and I didn't even want to look at the price because sometimes these can be a bit much. It's glass, it's not plastic, so that should give you a little bit of a idea. And my Ivy box came, and I was contemplating wearing some of the stuff, but I was like, maybe I'll wear the necklace tomorrow for you guys. Okay, so as I'm doing my reds, I'm actually, in honor of today, I decided to wear my pattern. So all of my hair is patterns, all of my face stuff is Bobbi Brown. I have actually the Bobbi Brown cleanser, which is, they call it a cleansing oil, which I really, really love. But it says coconut, sunflower oils, jasmine flower. But to me, it smells a little cucumberish. And then you put before you put your treatment lotion, because they used to have a toner, but they don't do toners anymore. So today I use my Lancome toner, but I have no shame in using my Chanel. And then I topped it off with my Bobbi Brown moisturizer. So I'm a little shiny because of my moisturizer. So recap. This is first, then this, then this, the treatment lotion, and then your moisturizer. Right? 4 steps. Okay, so let's get into it today. I actually really wanted to talk about this in a separate video last night, and it took all of me to was like, oh, I can wait till tomorrow. It's gonna be hard for me to think about this. Okay, so when I was a child, for about 4 years throughout elementary school and a little bit of junior high, I did gymnastics. And I actually started off in gymnastics at 3 or 4, like somewhere around there. I have to admit that I wasn't consistent, and there's a lot of reasons as to why that was the case, but I definitely was a tumbler. And the thing that I loved the most was the floor and the beam. And the thing that I hated the most was the vault. The vault always scared me. I actually like the balance. I actually like the bars, the uneven bars. But I actually do like the even bars, even though we don't do even bars for girls. It's for boys. Okay. So, when I was growing up, the person who I looked to the most was Dominique Dawes. Now, I know when we're about the same age. Let's put it that way. So gymnastics really doesn't come up until every Olympic season. So even though it comes on like every year, I will say that the most that you pay attention to it is at least a year before the Olympics starts. And so because of that, you really are focused on, who made nationals, who gets the who gets to be on the team, stuff like that, because that's a really important component of the of it all, right? So I gotta sit back for this because this is gonna. So there's a show. Well, let me not even get there. Dominique Dawes did her floor to me was everything. When she would tap and then go again, I just felt, and her floor, her balance beam, her and the bars. She was pitch perfect. She definitely wasn't the favorite, unfortunately. And there was a favorite. And the thing about gymnastics is that there's always there's not that many black people in it. And I, part of it is like, well, it's because black people can't afford it. But I think a part of, not many are willing to make that a large amount of sacrifice, because gymnastics is an expensive sport. But here's another component. I did not realize that in order for you to participate, you actually had, even when I was a kid, I did know that if you're going to make it to the elite gymnastics, then you'd go to the ranch in Texas and you'd live there. My mother was like, well, we can move there to Texas. Like, she actually had a plan that we'd move to Texas. She'd be in the area. We moved back to Texas because I actually lived in Texas for a few years as a kid. And I was like, no, I'm not moving to Texas. But what she did not know, and what other parents were soon to find out, is that parents were not allowed to contact their children while their children lived on the ranch for gymnastics. Now, like I said, I was a Dominique Dawes, and I still am, and I know that Simone Biles is awesome. I get it, but I feel as if Dominique Dawes didn't get her just due, even though I think she fought so hard to get her just due, and yet because she was in the midst of an era where people loved who they loved, and she was not white. She was one of the first blacks that made it to her height at that time. Simone Biles has definitely surpassed her. And one of the reasons why she surpassed her is because there are many times where she's been cheated. And if you go back and you watch some of how sometimes she didn't score a perfect 10, and part of it was because the judges wanted other people to score that perfect 10. So there is, hands down, she's been robbed. Like, hands down. And I'm sure that you may not, and even if she doesn't want to talk about it at this time in her life, I get it. Go back and watch her cry. Like, there are many times where she's standing on the sidelines crying at the score. And even some of the broadcasters are like, I don't even know where they marked the points off to give her that score. Okay. 2 or 3 days ago, Dominique Dawes, we do know this. Let me say Dominique Dawes is opening up a gym in Maryland. Okay, so she's opening it up. COVID-19, I'm sure, has messed it up for her in a bit. And she has, I think, 2 or 3 kids now. And a couple days ago, she put on her social media, all her platforms, that her gym will not be competitive. And number one, it will not be a competitive gym. It will not enter into the pathway of elite sports. This is going to be here just for the engagement, just to get because for the love of the sport. And she also added that her children will not participate in U.S. gymnastics. And it made me pause and was like, wow, this is a really bold statement. It's a bold statement because it's somebody who is by far a very, very recognized woman. And she was excellent in her sport. The thing that she was most known for, like I said, is her floor and bars and uneven bars and the wow, my mind is slipping right now. And she wasn't known for vaulting, but I'm not saying that she wasn't a bad vaulter, but that wasn't her main sport. And the balance beam. There you go. Yeah. She was really known for the balance beam. And in fact, the last time she went to the Olympics, she went really for the balance beam. Okay. So I wanted to give you a context. When she released that, I thought, wow, I mean, I knew there was problems. And here's my higher education side of me. Nasser. So Larry Nasser, who is, the child molestation, he molested kids over 20 years. 20 years. Not only that, had 37,000 child pornography stuff on the hard drive. Put this in context. Let's put in another context. Dominique Dawes says that she was not molested. And it's almost one of those, she is one of the few who was not molested because it seems like everybody was molested by this guy. Including Simone Biles, including Gabby Douglas, including, let's list the names. And the thing is, she made it perfectly clear that she wasn't included in that, and that's great. I'm glad to hear. But he molested 500 girls. It's hard to call them women. I mean, they're women now. It's hard for me to call them women at the time because they were underage. And Athlete A, so I watched the show, right? So Athlete A is kind of where I'm leading to this, and I've told you, like, this is going to be a long video, so sorry. So Athlete A is a show that I watched on Netflix last night, and I was just in tears. And part of it, you got to remember to know nothing this big happened until before this one was Penn State but he was having molesting and having sex and passing. I mean, it was pretty illicit with young boys, and that was extreme. People resign. The trustees. I was reading some book. Spy University, and he was talking. The president of Penn State actually was working for the CIA. This man was working for the CIA, but he wanted us to believe that he knew nothing about the molestation of these young girls young boys for over a decade. Yeah, okay. He resigned, and he actually is fighting a legal case because nobody believes it. And Penn State has had to, settle, and they've been sued, rightfully so. Okay, so that settlement is what, is out there. Michigan State. Gotta remember, Penn State, Michigan State. These are public institutions. Michigan State University, there was a lawsuit. It was settled for the largest lawsuit settlement for a university, public or private, $500 million. That's a big number. I mean, that is a big number. And in many cases, it can kill a university. And you're wondering, how has this not killed the university? Well, of course they have insurance, and that's the instant thing that people think, oh, well, they have insurance and insurance will pay out. Their insurance policy exempts this kind of behavior. So in fact, the insurance isn't paying the $500 million. So who has to pay it? Students. Tuition must go up. State of California, we cannot increase tuition. It's called fees. We can increase fees, but if you increase quote unquote tuition, it has to be for anybody out of state, which is part of the problem within the state of California. That's a whole different conversation. I didn't want to get there, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that can be done to try to offset the fact that you now have this $500 million bill, because they ignored it. In fact, the first person who came forward and said that he molested somebody was in 1996. We talking about over a decade that he's gotten away with it. And let's put it, and U.S. gymnastics needs to be sued. And they finally, last year, they finally arrested the former president, who was essentially the only reason why the FBI never brought anything against the U.S. gymnastics after they reported all these different times that people have been sexually molested. The only reason why is because the guy who was over U.S. gymnastics was trading off, oh, the investigator will come. He's like, yeah, but I can give you a job. Let me essentially he was trying to bribe the FBI agents. And most of this, and most of it worked, because over 20 years, nobody was investigated. And in fact, how many different women said, you know what? There's pedophiles all up and through USGA. It's not just this Nasser guy. There's a bunch of them. And this athlete A gets into the high level of emotional stress, the physical abuse, and then you put cherries on top with the sexual abuse. So there's all of these problems underneath. And I mean, my heart broke for when they announced the 2016 gymnastics team. I mean, even when they announced it, I was watching it, I could not understand how Gabby made the gymnastics team. I mean, she was in 7th place. How did she make it? And she didn't even, I mean, I can see I think Gabby, maybe it would probably been too controversial to make her an alternate because of how much her name and reputation has been going through. But I think everybody knows that the reason why some of these people were chosen is because they kept their mouth shut. They were willing to be abused and they kept their mouth shut. And, I hate when people want to cast stones on why they didn't want to speak. I hate this idea. I don't even want people to even make those kind of statements. And clearly, let me ask, what would have been the benefit of them speaking? All the rest of those women who didn't speak. Well, I don't see a benefit, because they literally, USGA, US Gymnastics, plus the Carolis, because the Carolis just need to retire, go away, don't ever come back. And anybody who believes in the Caroli method of gymnastics needs to never come back, needs to be out of the sport. They didn't care. They didn't care if you were injured. They didn't care if you had back problems. They didn't care if you had knee problems. They didn't care if you had ankle problems. Can you perform? I mean, and essentially that's kind of the space that people were in. And I mean, my heart broke. I mean, the whole show, my heart was breaking. I mean, and I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. Like, I just was bawling. And it's really a hard show to watch. And I mean, it's okay to push your athletes and push people to be their excellent, but to the point, I think it's primarily because they're so little, and the fact that your goal is to try to delay puberty for them as much as possible. And you know, when I was watching it, the person's name that kept coming into my head is Dominique Marciano. I may be pronouncing it, so I'm sorry. And I keep thinking about her because she had problems with her parents, and the U.S. Gymnastics helped her get away from her parents and had the Carolis to adopt her. It's like, how bad were your parents that the Carolis had to adopt you? Like, and this is, I mean, it's a hard show to watch. It's a hard documentary. But I think it's a necessary documentary. And if your kids are in sports, like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna move on to a spy movie, right? So, a spy. Now look, I have no idea what this movie is. And to be frank, what's so funny about this spy movie is that a spy, or my spy, whatever. Okay, so what's so interesting about this is that I saw advertisements for this, like, 2 years ago? And I kept, like, when is this movie coming out? And they kept saying, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. And then they finally did a release date for earlier this year. And my daughter, for 2 years, has been like, oh, I can't wait to see this. I have no idea why she cared about this movie. She, of course, does remember him because he's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. So she's like, I want to see it because of Drax. And then she kept she kept doing I am Groot. And I'm like, but that's not Groot. Anyway, so we kept doing the Drax thing. I watched the movie. I really didn't want to see it. And I definitely didn't want to see it in theaters. So it's finally on Amazon for free. I didn't have to rent it. So that's even better. So we finally watched the movie. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what is this? Is this Kindergarten Cop? What am I watching? Is this Kindergarten Cop? Is this supposed to be a funny show? Is this supposed to be an action show? What is this? And I think I don't know if it's trying to fit into a category. I get it. It's trying to be like, we can be everything. Okay, fine. Be everything. I'm still confused. At the end of it, I mean, I think it's kind of, I mean, it's not, okay, if you're looking for laughs, this is not the movie. There's not that many laughs. Not enough to where it's a hilarious, I wouldn't say a hilarious film, so put that out your head. But I would say that it's a tolerable film. It's more tolerable because it's a part of your subscription to Amazon, and you don't have to spend any money for it, and you don't have to go to the theaters to see it because it was in theaters. I have no idea why this was supposed to be in theaters. I think this whole year I keep trying to say all these different movies that was supposed to be in theaters. I keep like, why was it supposed to be in theaters? Shouldn't have been in theaters. This is not a theater quality movie. This is a straight to Netflix movie. I mean, kids movie. Okay. I don't know. I mean, and it's definitely not a modern day Kindergarten Cop movie. So I don't know what this is, but the predictability at the end, okay. I mean, there's nothing really to say it's not a negative or a positive. I think the fact that it's an hour and 30 minutes is pretty cool. It's a nice, it's not bad, it's not great, it's something to watch on a Friday or Saturday afternoon. That's new. Speaking of new, Beyonce is coming out with Black is King, and it's going to be on the Disney Plus, and I absolutely believe that this is the Lion King movie, the Lion King soundtrack, and I'm all for it. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to seeing it. So she has 6 movies under contract, so I guess this will be movie number 1. Okay. Last but not least, The Chi. So I don't know if I have anything negative or positive to say about The Chi. Well, definitely not negative. I think The Chi moves so fast for such a short period of time. Like, I mean, it's not an hour, but it's like 55 minutes. And I'm, sitting at the edge of my seat. So I think that that's pretty cool. I think the cool thing the most is the characters that are coming to the forward since Brandon is dead. And then, we still don't know why Brandon's dead. But I do think that it's kind of cool that this is now centering on Emmett. And Emmett is, I think his character is pretty cool. He's a good actor to hold the show together, to be in the limelight of the show. There's, of course, a lot of questions in regards to, there's a lot of questions like what has happened in the last, it seems like a year has gone by and we're not understanding what happened within this year. And I kind of like the fact that we're not being told what's happening. It's almost revealing itself as to what's happening. And I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty great technique to kind of keep us guessing, as to, wait, what happened? Like, we don't even have the truck? Emmett, like, where's the truck? Like, why can't, or Emmett, why are you trying to cook out of Sonny's kitchen at night? Does Sonny know you gonna use his kitchen at night? Does he know you got the keys still? So those kind of questions are looming, and of course, this is really a reflection on how easy and difficult, well, how easy it is to kidnap black girls, and number two, how hard it is for people to seem to care. And I say that, but I realize that young black girls get taken very easily, and it's really and I'll say that it's really frustrating because they run away at such a rapid pace, and I think without as teenagers and even young 20s, you make decisions that make no sense, and I anticipate that. So this is part of the reason why I think that parents have to pray even more, because your teenage and early 20 years, you don't have it together, and your sense don't make anybody's sense, and and that's okay, because you get older and you should be making more wise decisions. Right? And the whole point, hopefully, is that that you have the ability to get older, that your poor decision making didn't end up harming you long term. I mean, that's essentially what the prayer is, and that's what the hope is. So like I said, the Shy is leaving us with a ton of questions. On a positive note, that I wanted to, we'll talk about BET tomorrow. And also, because my video is already 32 minutes and this is like super long, I am 4 hours away from finishing the John Bolton book. And first of all, it's a 20-hour book, so forgive me for not racing through it sooner. And besides, when I listen to audiobooks, like I listen to it at 1.5 speeds, because it just makes me process the book faster. I can't listen to it at just regular speed. I have to zip through it, because then I can follow along. Like when you read too slow, when you read regular speed, to me, my mind wanders. So I gotta speed it up to 1.5. So I know that I'll finish it either sometime today or probably sometime tomorrow. I know definitely by Tuesday I'll be done with it and be able to give my full review on John Bolton. I'm not adding anything to it tonight because I'm just kind of annoyed with the book, and I'm actually kind of annoyed with the fact that I'm annoyed by the fact that this book is even out, and he's writing this book to try to make it seem like he's the most intelligent person in the room, and I think that is just so pompous, and I really don't like books that makes them feel as if they are the most superior mind in the room and everybody is just an idiot. So, I guess you're supposed to make yourself look better in your own book. But this seems to be by far, he goes above and beyond to make himself look like I know so much more than these idiots. that's what his tone is. So it's kind of a amusing bit of a book. On that note, I will see you all tomorrow. And I think I've just been so, chill. So I am going to see you tomorrow. I'm going to do some reading tonight. And I get ready for going super hard next week. I have so much to do next week because I am determined and focused. And I wish you a determined and focused start of your week. Have a great day.